Hello, my name is Rick Ireton, and I'm here today with my friend Walter Davis to talk with you about the most important topic of love. And this is our first installment of Let's Talk About Love. This is a program where we want to deal with the very issue of love, because ultimately our life is about love. And it's a difficult subject to bring up and to discuss, because love can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. But we can and we have to make some sense out of the idea of love. And ultimately, this information in back of us helps us understand love and to put love in a bit of a category, or be able to define it in such a way. So before we get into the images, we're going to talk just a little bit about love and what this means. And Walter, I think you can agree, in our world we have a real love problem.
Most definitely. And one of my favorite quotes is, "A wise man does immediately what a fool finally gets around to."
Right.
And so we have all these wars. And what has happened with that? We finally got around to loving the people. We finally got around to rebuilding them after the destruction.
Right.
And so why even go through that phase of losing all the lives, killing? Look at the Civil War. Look at what happened in Japan. Look at how we rebuilt Europe.
Right.
So right now in our world, our problems are generally caused by the fact that there is not enough love. People are focused on capitalism, on making a profit,
Right.
as opposed to doing what's ethical, as opposed to doing what's best for most people.
Right.
So we have these brilliant people that are working in 7-Eleven that perhaps could have the cure for cancer,
Right.
yet because they don't have enough money, or they haven't gone to school, or there's not enough jobs, they're not educated, or they're not allowed to grow in what their passion is.
Right.
And so we don't care enough about each other. We have people sleeping on the street. We have more people sleeping on the street than it should be. And the issue is that we have more empty homes than we have homeless people.
Yeah.
So what a wonderful world this could be if we made love centric, as opposed to profit being centric.
Right.
Look at all the good things. Martin Luther King talked about love, even in the face of being beaten and being arrested.
Right.
Mahatma Gandhi, the very same thing.
Right.
They talked about love. These people were focused on love. And what it came down to was finally people got into love. And so this is why this topic is so intrinsic. And what's so good about this is that we have an intellectual model that can be observed, so that we can have a discussion about love. So when we're talking about love, we have to be able to quantify love and transcend those barriers and the different ways that people look at love, and perhaps have a generic conversation.
Right.
But with very specific results in terms of what can happen in our culture. What is the reward? What are we going to get out of embracing love? And what's so brilliant about what Rick is doing right now is that he has a way of quantifying love and a way of looking at our spirituality and tying those things together. So I'm very proud to be part of this production.
Well, thanks. And with that, let's get into these images right here. And Walter, I'm going to talk on some of these, and we'll present some slides. We'll get some slides up so you can see it better, perhaps, than what you see right now. But what you're looking at here, we call the chakra key. And the chakra key is basically this ancient symbol of the menorah. And perhaps you can look at this menorah here. This is our basic Jewish menorah. It's the same concept of what God gave Moses 4,000 years ago or so. And this beautiful symbol, it's been a mystery to man most of this time, because you look at it as a candle holder, and it's not immediately obvious as to the fact of what this is as a key. And what we discovered is that when you turn the menorah 90 degrees and you place it adjacent to the human chakra system, and this is Hindu wisdom right here, presented in the chakra key. And there's 7 basic chakras to our body. And what the menorah shows is that there's 7 candles. The central candle being the heart chakra and the master chakra. And then what the menorah tells us is the menorah maps the interrelationships for our different chakras. And we'll get into this about how this explains love on all these multiple levels. But going right into this, let me explain what the map tells us here. So, the first thing again, you have your master, your heart chakra. It's so important to understand, and we'll get more into that. But what this shows you, when you look at your root chakra, which is our base fundamental chakra, this has to do with our survival issues. Like, when God made us, He made us with a hierarchy of design. So the most important thing that we would do and be driven to make sure we have is food and water and shelter and sleep and air we breathe. We have fundamental things that we need, and we will do pretty much anything for. And this is a really important idea to understand how God made all of us. And we're all made the same. Black, white, small, large. We all come in these different packages, and you really can't judge the book by the cover. You never know what's going on with somebody, and you can never tell what's to come from somebody as well. We can only know that we are spiritual beings, and ultimately what this proves to us is the concept that we're spiritual beings, that we're human beings, and that we have a human animal, we have a human body, but within this body is a spirit being, a spirit entity. And this key explains this. So, going back to the root chakra, the branches map these interconnections. And so our root chakra is our basic survival, and this branch goes to our heart chakra, and all the branches come off of the heart chakra, indicating that the heart is the master chakra that feeds everything. And so this branch leads up to the crown chakra. And talking a little bit more about the chakras, energy is a funny thing. Like electricity, you can't really see electricity, but we know it's there. And if you fiddle with it, you can get really shocked, and it can kill you, of course. And so our body is electrical. We are run by electrical energy, and we don't see this energy, but we have this energy. And when we're healthy, we have an ample amount of energy, and when we're not so healthy, we might have weak energy centers. And each one of these chakras is an energy center, and it's a central point of our body that's a coming together of energies, where their energies are concentrated. And there's a real science to this, which we're not going to get too into, other than to point out the relationship. So our root chakra is connected to our crown chakra, and our crown chakra is our connection to the divine. So the idea is that as human beings, God made us, so it's kind of like the internet. We've got a computer here, and we're always wired up to the mothership. And so the idea is that part of our energy comes from God, and there's another thought on how much of that is, and some say it's a lot, but the idea is that we're always connected, and that every one of our thoughts, all of our issues, our survival, our whole life, everything is known. We're an open book. So we have this major connection here from the very base of our life to our connection to God. Very significant connection here. So our next connection that's really significant is the concept of our sacral chakra, which is also known as our sex drive. And this another energetic point of our body. And look at how God made us, so that it goes to our brow chakra, which is up here, which basically is our vision, our mind, our cognitive thinking. It's our sixth sense. And how important is it to think that God would make us so that we would be mindful of this most important chakra. This very powerful sexual energy is one of our key energy sources of the human body. And so, again, there's a very important relationship between our mind and our sex chakra, which we'll get more into with the chakra vortex. The solar plexus solar plexus chakra goes to our solar plexus right here. What this shows how it goes to our throat. And this is known as our drive for survival, drive for sex, drive for power. And this is our power center here. And what this shows us here is that our real power is not in our might or our arms, but it's in our voice. When we take power over our world, when we sing, when we speak, when we share our heart, when we're communicating, that's taking command of our life. It's the greatest thing we have. You think about how much power you have if we weren't able to speak and sing. I mean, you could write, and that would be some power, the power of the pen. But really, as individuals, we are most empowered when we're speaking. And this chakra, throat chakra, also runs down into our hands, and that's why we're able to play music and sing and play guitar and play the piano, and it's part of our higher expression. So with this, what you're looking at here with the chakra key, the lower chakras, our body is represented by our lower chakras, and our spiritual aspect of who we are is represented by our upper chakras. And we all have a low drive. Every person on the planet, we all have a drive for survival. That's our key thing. We're all thinking about sex. We're all thinking about power and gaining power. And a great analogy I like to think about is of early man, when you're gathering your resources, your food and your water, and perhaps a woman or not. But then you look to build walls to protect what you've gathered, so that'll be there tomorrow, so you can survive tomorrow. And it's part of our natural drive for survival. So we all share in this. And so this is a very important aspect, because this concerns I. This concerns me, my lower self. The love, the heart, concerns we. And the concept that our upper chakras concern you, the real me, as far as my spiritual self. Because ultimately, while I have a body, I am not my body. I'm a spiritual entity in the body. And so, with this hierarchy, we can lay all kinds of important thoughts. In talking about love. Okay, what is love? You say, I really love pizza. And we can talk about how we can love food or water or something. And yep, we can energetically say, I love pizza. You could also say, I love sex. And there's an energy related to sexual energy. And there's another energy related to solar plexus, which is power and money. How much can we say some people love money? A lot. They're willing to destroy the whole world to get a little bit more. And then there's the concept of love. And as this we'll learn in this most amazing image is the real power of love. And this is the part that saves the world. This is our great hope. And we also have a drive to communicate. We want to share. We want to be an expression, because this is why we're here. We have this aspect of our energy system. You know, our body, all of this system is here for this very moment, so we can have a conversation, so we can be brothers, so we can do things for one another. So ultimately, it's all about love. It's all about living in this area here, and living in this concept of our brow and our mind, our most intelligent minds, that we might be able to put everything into order. So there's an order, there's a place for recognizing our love for pizza, or water, fresh air, and understanding our concept of sex and how important that is, and what a spiritual and high thing it is to be with somebody. And just the fact that we're such divine creatures, ultimately, and what an important aspect it is, and how beautiful it is to have a wonderful, wholesome interaction with somebody when it's done in a high way, where it's done in love. So, I know I'm talking a lot here, Walter. Any thoughts on this here? Or?
Well, the basic thing is that when we really think about it, what are some of the greatest things that we have in our lives? Our relationship, perhaps, with our parents, if that was a loving one.
Yeah.
It's something that's lasting with me, for example, to this day.
Yeah.
My ability to love other people, my ability to learn what I have learned, to care for other people, and somehow we have this barrier where we think that it's not appropriate to really extend love to other people outside of our family, and it seems like people have that kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
But think about how wonderful it would be if I could extend love to a little baby in a restaurant that's crying without being looked at as a pedophile or some other weird thing.
Yeah.
Or if I saw people on the side of the road that were walking, if I could safely pick those people up and give them a ride.
Hey, little buddy, yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But there's crime, and the reason we have crime is because there's not enough love.
Yeah.
If people had enough food, if people had enough shelter, if people had enough of the basic things, as indicated here, there wouldn't be crime. We wouldn't have people robbing and stealing and killing as much as we have right now.
Right.
Of course, there are people that are mentally disturbed that, are going to commit crimes. So, again, this is an example for why and how love is an intrinsic component to our existence. It's our future.
Absolutely.
Our future depends on
Absolutely.
how well we're going to be able to love each other. And we need to start now, because things are just going to get worse if we don't. And our existence depends upon grasping these concepts and being able to have a conversation. This is why this conversation is so very important. I look at myself as a child. The reason that I was able to learn to read, the reason I was able to learn to communicate, the reason I was able to learn to show compassion, to have intellect, to be able to set up this broadcast, is all because of the love that my parents gave me. And so that love, even after their death, has continued to transition, continued to motivate me, continued to push me all of these years.
Right.
So just imagine the synergy that we would have if we were able to push each other, to support each other, to love each other through life. This would be a paradise. Look at the greenery around here. Look at all this beauty that we have here.
Yeah.
The sunlight, the birds chirping. Everything is perfect. It's balanced.
Right. The
thing that's not balanced, however, our relationship with each other and how we relate to one another.
An important note to take. Right here in our world, we're pretty much living in this world of our solar plexus, where capitalism and the pursuit of power is the primary goal of our existence. It's the corporate goal. It's the goal of our survival, is to get enough, make enough money to survive. And really, in the scheme of our body, we are not, this is not our center. And ultimately, we will not survive as a species. We will not grow with the drive for power as our center. Because ultimately it has to be the drive for love. And a drive for power is a natural aspect of our life and of each person, but it is not the core part of who we are. And maybe let's trade places, and I'm going to talk about the chakra vortex for a minute, Walter. Here, let me move this over a sec. Okay, I want to talk about the chakra vortex. And this, okay, so we'll bring the chakra vortex up. Should we zoom in on this a little bit, or just
sure? You can do that.
We're gonna zoom in on this a little bit just to show you what this looks like a little better here, because I'm going to be pointing to some things so you can see that. It'll be just a second. This image is a gift. Not quite sure where this gift came from. It was found as a crop circle in a field, and I discovered a photo of this image on the internet, and I had this symbol reproduced. But when you look at this symbol, it tells us so much about who we are. Like where the chakra key explains the hierarchy for our design. Okay? Survival, sex, power, our love, throat chakra, brow, crown chakra. It shows you how we were made. what the chakra vortex shows us primarily is it gives us a picture of what's happening with our body energetically that we cannot see. It's like a diagram of our energy system. You know how you don't see television waves hitting the TV, but you have a TV picture. This is kind of what's happening with our body. It shows you your 7 chakras, and then it shows our heart chakra. And look at the size of our heart chakra. The heart chakra is massive. The heart chakra itself is as large as the whole lower chakra and our upper chakra. And what this shows us is how God designed our body with this mass, centering mass, to bring us equilibrium so that we might be able to use this energy in a productive way, in a creative way. And what this shows us is so much of our life is about finding balance. Because in this world of day and night, hot and cold, we live in a world of many dualities. And this dual nature of things is so beautiful that it must be managed in a creative way to use it in the most beautiful way. And so this is sort of the problem with our political system right now. You've got a guy on this side that says, boy, I sure like the hot stuff. I like Arizona where it's 110 degrees. This is the best weather. And somebody over here saying, nope, I like Alaska. I give it to me 80 below zero. That is the best. Well, there's nobody in the middle here saying, wait a minute, guys. Sometimes this is too hot and sometimes this is too cold. Let's find center here and use this energy for our greater purpose. And this is the problem with our world right now, is we don't really have a body in the middle finding center that's greater than both of these forces. Right now we have 2 equal forces that are just pounding away at each other, demanding their creative expression be the creative way. And it's part of the nature of creation is authorship. And people like to be the author of their own stuff, and they see their vision as being the way. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. In the case of our human body, we function, we live, we exist because of this big center in the middle, because of this heart chakra. And so I'm going to go a little more into this. So this tells us so much. So what this shows us, big heart chakra area here, green center. This yin-yang symbol indicates that this energy spins in this direction. So energetically, our body's being bathed in bioenergy by this spinning center that we don't see, that's magically there in our amazing body. And so our chakra spinning this way, our lower chakras indicates a spin in this direction around our sex chakra, and our upper chakra spins in the same direction this way around our brow chakra. So this is interesting to note how our sex chakra and our brow chakra are energetically connected. Right here, it shows that our sexual energy comes into our body, into our chi, and this energy spins around our chi. This is our core center, and it runs up to our brow, which is basically our mind. And if you think about a computer system, and our great system, our great energy system really kind of spins around our mind, because without the mind, nothing works too well. And it needs a good, steady source of energy. And so this here, our sex chakra around this, provides our mind with a good, steady flow of energy so that we might be smart, that our brains might work well, that we might be able to be this creative expression that we're made to be, part of this divine construction that's so amazing. Okay, so we have our connection with our brow and the sex chakra. We have our drive for survival, sex, power, love, communication. And what this indicates is just how these balls of this spinning energy is rotating around, and how energetically it's bathing our body. And so, again, what this shows us is the idea that we have a low center, we have a big heart center, and this heart center would be involved with aspects of love, such as kindness, compassion, patience, joy, serenity, all the beautiful aspects of who we are as human beings. But this concept explains why we survive, and ultimately we should look at this as a model for all things in our life and for our government. Because frankly, in our world, we have lots of options for things. You know, there's somewhat of a confusing time, you could say, in that there's chaos. And it's like, what do? You can't make one hard and fast rule for all things. Some things, we must say that love weighs all things, and love transcends all things. And there's a concept that love is free, in that if God wanted us to be made as robots, we would be built differently than the free-willing spirits that we are. And we work because we are free. We are become an expression of our creative nature. And so this is a beautiful symbol for how we might build our future world, is in the concept that we know that there are certain people that are really good at survival matters, and that the matters of sex are very important. And this also might show that I need to bring up the concept of how, while our energy goes up here to our brow, when people are over involved in pornography, your mind gets empowered here, and you can somewhat take over through watching pornography. It takes over this sex drive, and it overactivates this drive. And there's some really important sayings, and one of them goes, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so the concept that we're spiritual beings, and that we're here for a reason, and we're all here for unique reasons. And some people's reasoning for being on earth, like for instance Mozart, you know, their purpose in life comes about very quickly. They sit down to a piano, you start playing piano amazingly, you know that the piano is in your world. Other people grow differently, and there's ways for helping people find out who they are so they can live in this area. Because this is ultimately, as society, we want to help everybody understand this. We want to help manage this also. We as a society, we can say, yep, I understand you would like to rule the world, but we're not going to let you, because this is just another lesson for you, my friend. And so what raises to the point of who we are as spiritual beings and why we're here as ultimately as students and teachers and doctors and patients. And the concept is that we're not here to be kings or slaves. We're here to understand our body, but to be an expression of that what was within us. The little ballerinas must dance. The little boys that love puppies, they have every right to play with puppies and to be a veterinarian. The concept is, the great thing we must all come to grips with, is that integrity is the most important thing we have. We get up in the morning, we will look at ourselves in the mirror and say, yep, I'm doing what I should be doing. Or you say, no, I am so not. I'm so stuck in this thing and I hate it. Well, then the idea is that to come to grips with who you are, to recognize your body, to know that ultimately life is all about love. We are all about love. Love is our master chakra. And that what this also shows is what goes around comes around. Everything is spinning. And because we're energetic bodies, as we put out energy, that energy comes back to us. And when we send out love, we receive love. When we send out bad thoughts, when we do bad things come about on us. It becomes our classroom. And so, to reiterate, as a society, you know, one could argue, well, Rick, you're talking about socialism. Well, whatever ism you want to call it, I would call it loveism. But the fundamental aspect of our life, of who we are, what this shows us is that we're human beings, that God made us with an innate ability to survive. If we take away every job out of this country, we got to know that everybody's going to be trying to survive, and then people start doing some very terrible things for this purpose. And man has a capacity to be very cunning and very terrible. One man, just like we saw the other day in Norway, that one man can create complete havoc upon all of society. And we cannot allow this. This is not a loving thing to do. We must acknowledge what is as what is. And what is, we're human beings, we all have this drive for survival. So it's in all of our interest to love one another, because love is a flow of giving and receiving. And the idea that we might be able to, backing up a little bit, and I'm going to go to the golden rule, which is so key here. And the concept of the golden rule is to do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. But the golden rule is actually more than that. The concept of the golden rule is energetically, as I love you, you can love me. And the concept with love is affluent, in that there should be lots of flow, lots of giving and receiving. And ultimately, that is the pillar, that is the foundational rule and law for our world, is that fundamentally everything is about love. Our world, our new world, will spin around love. And the concept is, when I buy your stuff, I'm loving you. When you buy my stuff, you're loving me. Our core obligation to one another is to love one another. And when we are so affluent that we can extend our love further, then we extend and we love one another further. But the idea is that love produces love. Kindness produces kindness. Bombs produce bombs. An angry word produces an angry word. The concept that as a country, that we're sending, that we are a warrior nation, that we make most of our money making bombs and sending, we're off doing wars and we're involved with killing people for who knows what reason, that it's not an acceptable reasons. This is absolute wickedness. It's terrible. The concept is of who we are. We are loving people. This is who we are. Yes, we have this lower center, and we have to understand that lower center, but our life is all about the upper center. It's all about love and kindness. And because we're smart and we want to be loved, of course, because we want to be loved, we are going to be an expression of love. Our money is love. Why would we ever want to make bombs or do anything to hurt somebody when it's just going to come back on us? It's like suicide. It's self-imposed. You're killing yourself. For why? Because you're stupid. So the idea for all of us is to come to grips with the concept of love, with who we are as spiritual beings, and know that the greatest thing we can do for one another is to love one another. And for me to love myself, I'm loving you. And for you to love yourself, you're loving your brothers around you. And this is just the framework. And from this framework, we have so far to go. We'll have further conversations about the implications of this. But for now, I want to leave you with a concept of a bit of understanding about the chakra vortex, a little bit of understanding about the chakra key, about chakras. There's lots written on chakras. If you go to Wikipedia, you can learn more about chakras, ancient thought. And so, for now, thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About Love. And we will have a website up. All this information will be available. Have a book coming out called The Chakra Key. It's talking about the chakra key. It'll get into the chakra vortex, and of course, it'll get into love, because everything's about love. But if I was to leave you with something, would be to ask yourself a couple questions. One, if time and money wasn't an issue, what would you do? What is your passion? And the other question would be, what is the most loving thing you could do, knowing an aspect of all these things that are important as far as survival, And as far as taking an inventory of your personal gifts, what's the most loving thing you have to share with your brothers and sisters and with the world? And the most loving thing, of course, is love. But if you are impassioned you have a passion about teaching or about playing the drums or being a ballerina or whatever your passion is, and that passion is filled with love, is filled with some flow, then that is your business. That is the field you should be plowing. And we all need to come together and be who we are. We must be authentically who God made us to be. We'll never be anything better than that. God's work is the best work. And God made us to be who we are. And that is our job, is to be that. And we have a wonderful, amazing future ahead of us. And we need to use our minds. We need to use our hearts. We need to use these wonderful bodies. And the abundance of time we have to be productive into building our heaven right here on earth. And this, my friend, we can do. And with that, I'm saying, with love I share and I give to you, and thank you for listening.